Ladies and gentlemen, Binnall of America!
And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Tim Binnall.
No commercials, no subscriptions, no network, no rules, and at the end of the day, my friends, no comparison. Welcome to another edition of BOA The Revival. It is a very special edition of the program, as I'm sure you know, if you're a long-time Binnall of America listener. Even if you're a more recent Binnall of America listener, you probably know this, because this is our 17th year doing this year in review special with Greg Bishop. So, yeah, it is pretty wild. And yeah, 17 years. So we'd have to go back to what, 2008 or something like that. So it's just crazy. Like we're talking the beginning of the Obama administration.
Yeah. Next year. Yeah. Next year, the year in review can legally vote. So
yeah. Yeah. Among other sordid things. So, yeah, it'll be it'll be quite the year. Yeah. So this is our 17th year. It's the year in review. Greg Bishop of Radio Mysterioso is here, of course, radiomysterioso.com. Author of Project Beta, It Defies Gravity, and the Contactee book. Oh, sorry. Yeah. What is Defying Gray? Okay. Yeah. It Defies Language. Excuse me. I'm doing these off the top of my head. And the Contactee book with Adam Gorightly, which I don't recall the title of.
A is for Adamski.
A is for Adamski. So
yeah.
3 great books. And, he was here earlier for the big 20th anniversary special. And so here we go. 2025. How was your year, Greg? Welcome back.
It was mediocre. I think most people would say pretty much the same thing. They would either say below average or just barely maintaining. And that's kind of how mine was. And not just politically and all that other stuff, but just, with family pressures, not problems, but just having to get stuff done. I have to sell my parents' house. We had to do an estate sale for all their stuff. It took them a month to set it up. And I was in Germany at a UFO conference when the estate sale was going on, actually. And we'll talk about that later.
All right.
But anyway, just so much stuff going on and so much stuff to do. And I had problems with the city with some stuff, with some remodeling. And it's just like,
oh, yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah. Which I will not talk about because it's boring.
Well, that's good. That's, I'd say, yeah. I mean,
yeah. How about you?
I was fairly happy with the year. I feel kind of like, I mean, all things considered, I had a pretty good year, I thought. The world and the country and society, not so much. It seemed kind of like more stressful than ever, it seems, nowadays, and more uncertain than ever, and more sort of like this feeling of like looming danger.
Doom or something.
Yeah. So that was in the air all year, but I mean, I had some good experiences that I've kind of got to the age now where it's just kind of like, I mean, I threw out the first pitch at a fucking professional baseball game.
Yeah, amazing.
And I went on a Bigfoot hunt, and we went down and saw the Ark of the crazy Kentucky Ark and the Ventriloquist Museum, and visited Gettysburg for the first time. So all those things that I had no idea this time last year, I think, except for the Kentucky trip we went on, but I had no idea it was going to get mixed up in all that. So, for those things, I look back, I have a lot of really interesting and cool memories that I'm happy about from 2025, but I'm ready for a new year at this point, for sure.
Me too. I shouldn't whine. I got to go to Italy for 18 days, and I got to go to Germany for 8 days. That's
And you got to go to Kentucky for 4 days. Let's not.
And I got to. No. I mean, I was remembering great. Since you were saying that, and I was remembering all the stuff that we did, and it was great. It was a really cool trip. We saw the monument to Thomas Mantell, which really made me happy.
Yes. Yes, which is like in like on the outskirts of like a plaza or a strip mall or something. It was right. It was like a bunch of,
it was south of a tiny town. Yeah, it was actually right. You're right. It was across the street from a strip mall and next to a church. But you know, if you're in the south, you're next to a church a lot, just like Italy.
I bet. Yeah. I bet. Yeah. So yeah, it was. So yeah, when you put it that way, when we spit it that way, you know, on a personal level, I think we had good years, you know. So and here we are. We on the right side of the ground this morning, so we got at least that working for us. So year in review, Greg reached out this morning and was like, notes, and I'm like, oh shit. so I went through my year of stuff over at Coast to Coast, which I've been doing anyway, but sort of with an eye towards this show. And I'm sure I missed some stuff, and Greg will bring up some stuff.
Maybe.
And ironically, he's probably more hooked into the UFO scene than I am these days. So he may know more about what, you know, if I missed some big thing. But so we'll just start with the UFOs. And these aren't even in chronological order from what I can tell. I'm supposed to be good, kind of, but I suppose the biggest, I guess I'll start with what would seem to be the biggest thing that people were talking about, one thing or the other, but was the interstellar object 3I Atlas. That was a really popular thing for a really long time. They discovered it like in July, and Avi Loeb was like, it could be alien. And that dragged on until like around, I want to say Halloween or Thanksgiving. So it was like a multi-month long thing that a lot of people in the UFO scene, more the UAP scene, there's like a whole ecosystem of UAP people that I don't even know about, but they have like big shows and shit. Had Red Pill Junkie on. He'll be on in a couple of weeks on Binnall America. But I was saying, this guy Jesse Michaels. Have you heard of this? Yeah, I have no idea who this is. So
I was on a show this year.
Oh, so there you go. So yeah, I have no idea who these people are. But I don't know if he was talking about 3I Atlas or not. But people were talking about it. It was a lot of stuff, and it turned out to be a comet. So, but
yeah, it pretty much is. I mean, I said that in the beginning. And a lot of people not a lot of people, but I got in an online argument with somebody, and then eventually I just dropped it because that's what you have to do with those things.
Right.
And he was like pointing out to me all this stuff about it. It's like, well, you know, I come from a science background, and it's like, but nothing you say is scientific. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
He was saying he said it was shown to be speeding up as it got near the sun. And I said, that's how celestial bodies work. It's when passing each other in space. If they have a gravitational field, they have to speed up or they'll fall into each other. That's what keeps them from hitting each other. And if you're, you know, if the angle was too low, yeah, they just run into each other. But in this case, to keep the momentum going, it has to speed up while it's there so that the centrifugal force fights against the gravity. And I said, that's why interplanetary probes, they send them by big, like by the planet, so they can get a gravitational assist, because they speed up when they go around the planet, and that speed stays that higher speed. And he was saying, oh, well, it's sped up, which was really mysterious. Like, no, it's not. That's what happens. And it's going to slow down after it leaves, you know, after it comes around. It's like, no, it's not, because nothing's slowing it down. There's some gravitational pull, but it's already sped up. And he goes, oh, no, it'll slow down and it'll go back to the original. So I actually wrote... I don't want to say.
Okay.
Not somebody famous. And actually I went and asked Massimo Teodorani, my friend, who is an astrophysicist. And I said, look, comets or interstellar objects or celestial bodies, when they approach each other and they speed up after getting close to each other, and they don't slow down again, do they? Because there's nothing slowing them down. It's a vacuum. He goes, no, they don't slow down. So I wrote back to the guy and said, okay, I double checked with an astrophysicist. Stuff does not slow down after it passes whatever, unless, you know, because he's saying, oh, it's going to slow down and it's going to go. It's like, no, it's not. It's an interstellar visitor. It's not a comet like, from the Oort cloud. It's not orbiting like Halley's Comet. It's something that came from outside the solar system. That's what everybody was excited about. I also thought Avi Loeb was like, why do you keep saying, he says, well, you got to keep the possibility open. That's like, but the possibility is so slim.
Yeah,
I would have been excited if it did anything really unusual. It didn't. It had some unusual properties. It was outgassing weird things, but nothing. And I did ask Massimo this. He goes, "Look, it's a strange object. It's doing weird things, but it's not doing things that are against physics or that show that it has any kind of any ability to speed up or slow down on its own. It's just doing what it does because of physics."
Yeah, I was amused at Avi Loeb's attachment to this thing and wondering, like, okay, is he gonna do this all the time now? Like, is the next one, is he gonna do the same thing on the next one, or is he gonna practice restraint? That's kind of where I'm interested,
Maybe he likes being in the news,
I'm sure he likes being in the news. I'm sure he does.
I'm giving him an out.
Yes. Well, yeah. No, I mean, whether, that's, I said, I'm just, that's what I'm interested in, I suppose. Is he going to do this again? Because it's like, Avi, and at some point, like, does it tarnish him as his name because he has all this cachet as a Harvard astrophysicist, but it's like, bro, if you're gonna become like the boy who cried alien object. Like, if you keep doing this, people aren't going to take you seriously about anything else. You're going to quickly descend into crackpot land, and even if you are a Harvard astrophysicist, or does the rank, or does that level of esteem protect him from crackpottery? We'll see if he keeps doing this. If all of a sudden, like in 10 years, it's like he's on like the 6th or 7th interstellar object, he keeps doing it over and like, that guy's lost his fucking mind, So we'll see.
Remember what our friend oh no, I can't remember his name. Jeff Ritzman said. He said the higher you are in the whatever in your field or whatever, if you get messed up with UFOs in the wrong way, the further you're going to fall.
Yeah.
There's a really good chance of it. And so, I mean, if you're just some doofus, it's like, yeah, that person's crazy. But if it's somebody with a career and tenure and all that on the line,
it's high level. Yeah.
Yeah. It becomes even more ridiculous, and the fall is much further. And it just has to be. And then and you're just kind of like, why don't you stop now? And they keep going and they double down, and it's like, wow. And he tried to be careful, but he just kept pushing that narrative. And I think the closest approach to Earth was like a week ago. And since then, we haven't heard anything about it because it's on its way out and nothing.
Right. Yeah.
There may be data around that we don't know about that somebody comes up with later. It says, well, it's actually really unusual in these aspects. But the way it moved, it wasn't. Even though people kept insisting it was speeding up and slowing down, it's like, well, maybe a little bit because stuff's coming off of it and all that. But no, the forces of gravity are just going to make it behave in a very certain way and speed up in a very certain way, depending on the mass and where it is and all that.
It was a comet. So,
or an object that was acted like one. Yeah.
Yes. Well, he said that after NASA was like, look, it's a comet. And he's like, haven't you ever heard of a Trojan horse story?
Yeah, I saw that.
It looked like a comet. And I'm like, he did have me there. I was like, he has a point there.
I think he did point out that if it had been traveling through interstellar space for millions of years, it would have picked up a bunch of stuff by whatever it passed through or went through or wherever it came from. And that stuff is just sitting there in deep freeze till it gets near something that'll heat it up and make it start outgassing off the object. Makes sense. That totally made sense to me when he said that. But he said, but an interstellar spaceship would do that too. It's like, well, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So even if it wasn't interstellar, it's like fucking gone now. Like it just swept through. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, well, it could have been a probe or whatever, but
yeah, it's leaving. It's not gone yet, but yeah, it's on its way out of the solar system. It came like at an angle. It isn't even inclined like near the ecliptic where all the comets and all that come from.
right. Now, if it stops and turns around, then we'll talk,
Yeah.
then we'll get someone alert me to that. So, but I thought now I look at this from the outside of the UFO scene, the UAP scene. Let's leave the
whatever it is.
UFOs alone. Yeah. But I found this, and then the age of disclosure, which is I have next in the notes. I don't know. I just feel this sort of air of like desperation that's starting to develop, sort of a graspingness where it's like, look, come on. Like this has dragged on a long time since that New York Times article. We're close to 10 years on this. And it's like, there's been some progress, but I feel like there's a certain, I don't know. They're like, look, this fucking movie, this age of disclosure, this is it. And it's like, it kind of came and went, and it didn't change the world. And it's like, I feel like maybe there's a sense of frustration or something that they're not changing the world.
Well, I think it did change parts of the world, meaning it's a little less, there's not as much stigma around it. I mean, there's that little change, but no, changing the whole world or changing the way governments react or whatever. No, I don't think so. Not at all. And, so what? Also, I think I feel like, or you feel like it's slowing down because you've been around this for so long. You're like, oh, this again. That's exactly how I feel. Oh, this again. But I don't feel like maybe it is slowing down, but from my point of view, it has affected things so much that in the last 10 years, there's been more, what's the word? More, original thought about this than I've seen the entire time I've been doing this. And I think that's whatever the congressional things are and whatever the reason is for bringing this up from military and the intelligence, the political arena, the upshot is that a lot of people who would never have looked at this before and thought it was embarrassing are now looking at it. And that makes me excited. I don't know if we're going to find anything out, but I'm sure hearing a lot of great questions and a lot of cool discussion and stuff that interests me.
Yeah. And, why don't you talk about those things you went to, those events?
Okay. Yeah.
Because you mentioned you wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of whatever I can bring to this discussion, and I'll try to. So I went to the Seoul conference in Italy. That was October 24th through 26th, and I just thought that, I mean, whatever you think about what Saul is doing, or whatever opinions you have on Gary Nolan or Peter Skafish, the two people that basically run it right now. It was kind of a good overview of what's going on, I guess, overtly right now. Like the first person to talk was Beatrice Villarreal, the astronomer.
Yeah, she's doing good work.
Yeah, talking about the transient star things. I read some of the skeptical literature about it, about her stuff before I went to the conference, and most of them were, well, if this stuff's flying there, anything could be flying around in space or in the upper atmosphere that would appear to be something that was there, that wasn't there the week before and then wasn't there the week after, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And her point was, yes, but they're lit up. And these pictures are taken on the dark side of when they're in the Earth's shadow. There's nothing to light them up. So think of another excuse. Now, I'm not saying she's right or it's UFOs or it's aliens or anything, but she did answer that question. I mean, answer that one. I think she answered some more too. But that main thing, it's like, well, it could be anything. It's like, well, it couldn't, because if it's in the upper atmosphere and we can see it, it means the sun is hitting it. But if you're in the shadow of the Earth, like at midnight, when a lot of these pictures are taken, I think between certain times of the night where there's the least amount of light.
Right.
The sun isn't going to be hitting anything in the upper atmosphere because there's no sun.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting and cool. I talked to Ia Whiteley, who's in Diana Pasolka's book. She is I think a psychologist, but what she made her big mark in was that she did research to find out why pilots would not report certain things, like if there was an accident or something. She found out there was like this kind of a macho culture where you don't admit that something went wrong, even if it's not your fault.
Yeah.
So she kind of worked with them to figure out why that was and to be more honest about what's going on. And she was a woman, so that it was easier for them to talk to her. But her finding was, if we take away that stigma, then we get a little bit better reporting of the facts so that we can avoid problems in the future. Like, why did that plane crash? Well, because of this very simple thing they didn't want to report. Well, if you report it, they can fix it. And it applies to astronauts too. I think she's done work with them. But what she's doing now, one of her projects is using AI to figure out whale language.
Oh, that's awesome.
Taking all the sounds and then trying to figure out if there's a pattern to it by running them through AI back and forth. And then if there is a pattern to it and they can figure it out, blast some of that back at whales to see what they say.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great idea. I can talk to them.
Yeah. So that's something she's doing now. So I asked her about that, but the thing she presented on was using Eastern breathwork methods to relax people that you're asking questions about that have had a traumatic experience, be it a pilot or a UFO witness or whatever, just like to calm them down so they're not in that fight or flight where information is not coming through that might be important. And she said the people doing the interviewing, like the researcher or the scientist, should do it too, because they're going to be all bent out of shape about it. So she had some really interesting comments about how to get more accurate information out of witnesses to strange things or traumatic things. I thought that was pretty cool. Volet was there. He's at all of these. He actually just discussed an old case from 1966, which happened in Haynesville, Louisiana, UFO case, very bright light in this forested area. They went in later and they found there were like burnt bark and all this stuff. And he was trying to calculate, well, how much power would you need for something to be this bright at this time of night? It's like, the entire output for like a month of all power plants in the United States. And he said, that's impossible. So what was going on there?
Yeah. All right. What was the other event you went to? Oh, you got more from that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot more from Saul. I mean, that's just a few things. Oh, you know what? Just before we get off of that, the Skywatcher people were there, the people that go out in the desert with all those cameras and instruments and try to catch UFOs. And one of them said, whatever you think of what they're doing or what their methods are, one of them said they've invented this dog whistle thing that like calls in UFOs or UAPs and that they could film them and video them and put instruments on them. But the guy said, we'll send up helicopters or airplanes to go look at them. And they're right there in the instruments. We can see them. We can often see them from the ground. And the helicopter gets near it and they say they can't even see it. Yeah, we're like, you're like 100 yards from it. It's right there. They go, we don't see anything. We can't see a thing. It's completely clear. So that was a weird part of it, The other part that interested me is a lot of the work they did is next to the China Lake Naval Weapons Station up here north of Los Angeles. It's like, what are they doing right outside a military base?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And they're former military people, so it might not be just UFOs. There may be other things going on.
Yeah, we've heard this story before. Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing was the Society for UAP Studies that was in Germany. And that was just a couple of weeks ago. It was December 4th through 6th.
Yeah.
And that was organized by Mike Sifone, who's the founder or the co-founder of Society for UAP Studies. And I'm apparently now their senior correspondent, which means I write up a lot of their stuff.
Nice. Congratulations.
Well, thanks. I mean, what it allowed me to do was actually travel to Germany and go, right during Christmas to Nuremberg, where they have one of the biggest Christmas markets in the world. And I got to go to that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So awesome. I got all my Christmas shopping done in like 2 days.
That's excellent.
Yeah, but I won't be specific in these things about Society for UAP studies. What it was all academics, basically almost all of them. Kutch just sent me a message. All these academics, sociologists, physicists, anthropologists, folklorists, all these people all talking about different aspects of UFOs. And with the exception of a couple of them that were like kind of old, like Ron Westrom, who's an old hardline ufologist, and it's like he talked about abductions. They're done by aliens. It's definitely aliens. They're coming here and messing with people. And the other people at the conference are like, well, we don't really know what alien is. And it's like, nope, it's aliens.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. But what interested me was they were just asking questions like, when we call something weird, aren't we making those categories up ourselves? I mean, you call something weird doesn't mean it's weird. In fact, we're placing in that category before even. And when we do that, we have certain ideas about it. If it's weird, then it's something that's, uncategorizable, or it's outside of our realm of understanding or whatever. And they said, a couple of people said, just calling it that keeps us from understanding it better. And that's just one of the ideas that was being thrown around during that. So a lot of discussion about concepts, ways of looking at things, questioning what the language is around things and how that makes us think of it, just stuff like that. And it was, Kim Engels was there, who I really like. She does phenomenology work, which is the idea that human perceptions and their people's perceptions and memories are just as good as scientific data. And it's not like, well, that's just witness testimony. And her idea is that, well, it's important testimony. It's information. It's coming from a place that that some people would say is not reliable, but it's the human nervous system. It gathers information. We should consider it as important information with all the problems that come along with that. So that what Mike said he's trying to do. In fact, let me see if I can get the quote from him, because it was a really nice quote. He said the researcher's luxury of distancing themselves from their subject is not sustainable if the study of UAP as a discipline is to advance. So he's trying to get. I mean, he was very skeptical. When I first met him, he was ridiculously skeptical but interested. And now he's kind of mellowed out, and he's starting to listen to all kinds of different people and their ideas without being like, what are you saying? Or he doesn't ask people to define their terms as much. He listens to them first, and then he starts saying, well, why do you say that? Why did you come up with that? What does your research tell you? Well, what is your idea about this in the first place? What's your definition? Just things like that people have never asked. They don't ask about definitions, especially ufologists. They just say, well, there's aliens and there's humans, and it's like, so one of the presentation, it was like, what's alien and what's human? What determines that? What determines humanness? What determines personhood? What determine, under certain definitions, chimpanzees and whales are people. So it's just all these questions, and I find them highly interesting. And I'm glad I got the chance to hear these things and hear them firsthand as these people were making their talks. Anyway, that story will be up at the Society for UAP Studies website either now or very soon.
There you go. All right. Okay, so November congressional hearing featuring our friend George Knapp within a funky new video.
Again.
Kind of more of the same. Yeah. I mean, this is what I meant earlier. And I say this with all due respect to George, who I love. But there seems to be like they're running into the wall here. They can't get the ball over the line to sort of use a tortured sports analogy. But it's like, that's just sort of the feeling I get, where it's like, again, with the age of disclosure, they're trying to punch it into the end zone here, and they can't do it. And it's just like that. And I don't think they can, because as we've discussed year after year after year, it's like, what is disclosure and what is, all that? And it's like, the idea that they're going to come out and the aliens and all that. It's like, this is a fantasy of like,
I talked to somebody, I saw something. It's like, well, that's not proof in for most people. So that it has to be presented differently. So you get to the point where you think somebody's trying to sustain this like illusion of something's going to be revealed for as long as possible.
Seems that way, yeah.
And for some reason, and as a UFO researcher told me a long time ago, when the government talks about UFOs, they don't really care what ufologists think about what's going on. It's not for them. It's for when the first congressional hearing came up, a couple of years ago, I had a couple of friends kind of watching online at the same time, and they said, wow, I mean, we're all watching. This is great. And I said, the audience is not us. The audience is the Chinese and the Russians and other people. That's who they're broadcasting to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know why, but I think that's what's going on.
Yeah, it's odd. It's also funny in a way where it's like, we've reached a point now where it's like this newfound status of the UFO it's no longer novel as it was like, maybe between 2017 and like a little after the pandemic. It's like, it's not thrilling that they're talking about UFOs so much anymore. It's like, all right, well, they've been talking about it now for like 10 years. So it's funny. It sort of starts to become more commonplace, which is good, I suppose.
Yeah, well, what I hear stuff from the Congress and the Senate, it sounds exactly like people who go to UFO conventions and how their beliefs are changed. It's like, oh my God, this stuff is really going on. It's like, yeah, so the first congressional hearing, I said, hey, look, it's a UFO convention for Congress, which is basically what it was. It's like, I've got evidence of something, but I can't show you directly because it's kind of secret, but I'm allowed to tell you that I saw it. People have been saying that since the 80s, actually before that. And now it's just a more sophisticated form of the exact same thing to me. And
go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, like, what's remarkable too is like, either they're so passionate. There's no one, because it's always like, look, you go to jail for the rest of your life, and it's like, dude, like, if you're the guy that brings forward the fucking actual rock solid alien proof, like, you're probably not going to jail for the rest of your life. And if you care so much about it to do that, then you probably don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? You're just like, enough's enough. I'm pulling out this dead alien or whatever, this rock, So it's like these activists, they cannot find a single person willing to take the bullet if this exists, right? So that's kind of like, okay, like, you're also passionate about this, but you're also at the same time like, well, I can't tell you this or I can't tell you that. And it's like, look, like, this is either the biggest story in the history of the world or it's not. Like, so I can't.
Well, you know what? It is the biggest story in the history of the world, but it's not what I don't think it's what people think it is. And it's really useful because it's what people think it is. It's a Rorschach plot. Right. So it's very convenient to use for intelligence and the military and all that to cover up stuff or misdirect or whatever. It's great for that.
Right. I mean, what they're portraying it as. They're not out there really saying this is a glimpse into another shared reality or whatever. They're like, it's fucking aliens. They dance around it. We all know they.
I'm gonna comment on what you think it is. I'm not going to comment on what I'm doing with it. I'm just going to comment in a way that reinforces what you think it is and leaving the question open. You know what I mean? We're going to discuss it in a way that plays into a belief system. But we're not gonna, like, the fat lady's never gonna come out and sing because that messes up the whole operation. If you want to keep this, and I think even after whatever they're doing is done, it's going to be put on the shelf and then brought out again at some point, unless it's revealed that some of this stuff is actually military hardware, which I think some of it is, not all of it, but some of the stuff that's been going on. And it's probably just so advanced we don't even, we can't tell yet. And it's just kind of a way to like, look what we've got. Or to say, look what we've got, even though we don't have it, but the UFO stuff supports, the observations support that. Because I was talking to somebody online today, and he was he was talking about the just how silly the UFO thing is and how people use their belief systems and all that. And I said, it's fine. There really is something there. I really do think there's something anomalous. There's something that's not us, that's intelligence that interacts with us. But all 99% of our ideas about it come from us. They don't come from whatever it is, because
we have to make
sense. So we've created this mythology around it, and of course, the disclosure stuff completely plays into that.
Yeah. And the other thing that I found funny is, like, we can kind of look back over all the years now since this is happening, since it started, but it's like all these years we heard about, like, all this great shit that the government didn't want to reveal. And we've seen this shit, like, trickle out now, these videos, and they're fucking, like, so awful. They're just so awful. It's like I have yet to see any, like, UFO video from a military operation, which is all the fucking UFO shit that happens nowadays. You notice there's never any like, oh, a really awesome case from Sacramento that someone saw a fucking UFO. Like, that never happens anymore. It's like it
happens, but it's all sucked. All the air is sucked out of the room by the government stuff.
Right. Yeah.
You're not going to cover it if it's just Joe out there with, like, a blurry video of something. But if the U.S., if the U.S. military is saying, here's another video, it's like, looks just as bad, but it has more numbers around it and comes from an instrument that isn't somebody's home cell phone, then it becomes, that's what the media and people are going to pay attention to, not the other stuff. I said this to some friends. I said, I can't wait till this isn't popular anymore and nobody cares, because then we can get more serious about about studying it. People that are not trying to mess with us for some weird political reason to be involved. I just don't want UFOs to be cool or interesting anymore, because it just, whenever something gets a lot of attention, it turns into something it never was. I mean, that happens in the arts and music and movies and everything. It's just kind of like, as soon as a formula comes up, then it's not interesting anymore, because you know what you're going to get. And the point of UFOs is you almost never know what you're going to get. It's just it's way weirder than the government gives it credit for.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I will see. If I have kind of have a sinking suspicion, like, that UFOs have now reached, like, Marvel Comics level of acceptability, where it's never going to go back to being. I don't think it'll ever go back to being fucking, like, super in the underground now. It's like, I think it's reached, like, pro wrestling and comic books and shit like that. It's reached a level of public acceptance that it's okay and almost cool to be into it, and we're not going to shit on you for it. And I guess, for people maybe youngsters don't understand what it's like when we got into it long time ago, but it was like, it was not fucking cool. It was iconoclastic in a way. It was sort of like you were a renegade for it being interested in this stuff. You certainly weren't it certainly wasn't like a cool thing to be a part of. So I think it's been Marvel comic. It's cool if you were in it. I mean, I had fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, it's like anything. There's still an underground and not an underground, but a level of it that people that are into it can be into it, and you can't really explain, and it can't really be commodified, and it can't really be made into a comic. It's just, there's just too much. It's you and I and other people we know are so deep into it that we're beyond all that comic stuff. Not to be like, oh, we're cool, but it's just like you've been into it for so long that there's certain ideas that can't really be turned into comics or turned into a congressional committee, whatever, because people go, what are you talking about? It has to be in a certain narrow band of what people accept and believe. And so the stuff outside of that is the stuff that's interesting, and it becomes more interesting. I mean, it's probably why I'm more interested in the looking at it from a arts perspective and a humanities perspective. And actually, Society for UAP Studies is supporting that too, that kind of work. And I think that's great, because the UFO, it operates in parts of our brain that a lot of other things don't. If you see I don't know, if you see a car driving down the street you have one reaction, but if you see a UFO hovering over your yard, like glowing and making a huge noise and scaring the crap out of you, it's a little different experience.
Yeah.
So it's outside of the normal experience, and I think it always will be in some way. And I think whenever we decide what the UFO is supposed to be, it's probably going to start appearing as some other thing, at least for a while, or manifesting as something else, or affecting people in a different way. I think the true UFO thing is like the stuff where you talk about with people like just saying, "Look what I saw."
Yeah.
I think it's just, that's still happening to people, but it's almost boring to admit it. Like you said, it's like, yeah, we know there's UFOs.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is kind of a good thing.
From the UFO family come drones, which is I don't remember if we talked about it last year.
I think a little bit, because it had started like right around that time.
Yeah, the New Jersey wave and the drones, and then by the time the year started, when Trump got into office, he said that there was nothing to see here. Kind of waved it off and everything, and it did die out really quickly. Yeah, I think we did discuss it because I remember talking a little bit about it. But then later in the year, there were drones like shutting down. This happened like in Turkey, like at the beginning of the year, and then later in the year, there was like shutting down European airports and drones. I did a story the other day about how they've had fucking drone fleets like flying over a power plant in Wyoming for like the better part of a fucking year. Mm-hmm. And no one knows anything about it, and no one knows how to do anything about it. And like I was saying about the UFOs earlier, the sergeant, the sheriff's office spokesperson was like, it's just a way of life now. No one reports it to the police anymore because we're just used to these drone swarms that show up over the fucking thing. So it's like, I don't know.
You'd think if it was a huge problem, somebody would be taking care of it. Like, we don't want these things over our power plant. We're going to go up and like point stuff, because there's devices you can point at drones that will screw up their electronics and bring them down.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They'll basically mess up their guidance and stuff and just fry them. And then they just fall out of the sky, like directed energy kind of thing.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And nobody's doing that with those things over that power plant. So it must mean that somebody wants them there and it's not a problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you would think like the feds would get involved if it was serious enough. So it's probably the feds doing it, or someone.
Yeah,
or
someone
under their auspice.
Or somebody asked, like, from the government, what's going on here? Oh, Raytheon is doing this thing where we're trying to figure out how to harden and protect infrastructure in case of attack. And okay.
yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Where it's like, if they're trying to come up with some defense system. So it's like, we had a shitload of drones here. They could deploy right away, but we needed to test it. So we got to test it in fucking Wyoming because no one will notice. But it's 2025 and fucking anything happens anywhere weird, it gets noticed. So they're just kind of like, hey, don't even bother talking about it.
Yeah, well, maybe that's part of the disclosure thing. Is just like, well, don't worry about it so much. And now, and so if you do see something where, it's UFOs, and we all know there's UFOs, it's like, okay, well, then I won't worry about it, no matter what it happens to be. I went and saw a lecture by Tim Gallaudet, the retired Navy admiral. Yeah, and somebody at Congress. Yeah, he spoke at Congress. He spoke at Saul. Actually, his thing at Saul is like, why don't we have a do-over on disclosure and involve the rest of the world instead of just the United States? Which I thought was a great idea, but I don't think it's going to happen. But at this lecture, somebody actually asked him, and this was late last year, I think. Yeah, like in November of last year. I might have mentioned this on the last year in review. But they said, what was that? What was the New Jersey drone swarm thing? And he said I don't know if he said he was sure or somebody had told him or he was made aware that it had to do with searching. Like, one of the rumors was searching for like nuclear material or like
we talked about that
terrorist stuff.
Review. Yeah.
And he's confirmed that, and that's it sounds reasonable to me. The other thing I think I discussed was I have a program from a pilot. It's a mapping program for private pilots. Well, airline pilots use it too, called ForeFlight. And I looked at New Jersey at the time. There were more flight restrictions over New Jersey than I've ever seen ever in my life. It looked like New Jersey had measles because all these red dots everywhere. And I looked closer; they're all over power plants, substations. God, what else? Like gas refineries, stuff like they were all over things that you wouldn't want attacked.
Yeah.
And I think it was basically to keep airplanes and people's private drones out of there because there are legal ramifications to going into a flight restricted area. So I think they just wanted to weed out all that stuff and make sure it was just whatever was supposed to be there, or they could look at what was there and make sure that it wasn't some private drone or, some kind of aircraft. So, or some kind of, known aircraft.
Yeah.
So who knows? But no, I don't think any of them ever moved like UFOs move, like those quick movements to the horizon and going straight up and all that stuff. They move like drones.
Yeah.
But they were just.
It's kind of like the Atlas.
And hard to. Yeah.
It's like it's a comet, dude. But people the drones getting lumped in with the UFOs. Yeah. But I think we'll see more as a drone guy, being you, not me. But as a non-drone, I don't know how the fuck I'm saying, but it's like I foresee more problems like this as drones get more, as they proliferate more. And it's amazing to me how much they're used in the Ukrainian war. It's like, holy shit. It's like, this is the war they were like talking about when we were younger, not 10 years younger.
Robot war,
Yeah. Where it was like, oh, they're not even going to need soldiers. They're going to have fucking remote control things that fight and shit. And it's like, well, we're here now at that. So yeah, it's interesting.
Oh, they're building their own. I mean, the Ukrainian army or whoever it is, they're building specific, fast, impervious to, I guess, certain kinds of artillery and all that, specifically made just to be war drones. It's not just we just took a DJI and threw a bomb under it. No, they're actually they're building from scratch their own drones that can do these missions and can fly really far, all the way to Moscow and start attacking the airport, which I guess they did in the last few weeks.
Yeah. So, that's not to get all too doom and gloom, but yeah, part of me's like, oh, well, we're bound for some kind of fucking crazy drone attack. Like, why anyone hasn't fucking done that yet here in America, I don't know, but it feels like that's something that, is bound to happen.
There's probably a balance of power and another one that's supposed to look like one, and there's so many levels to this. When you hear something from certain people and then it comes out in the news like months later, it's like there's a whole nother level of discussion going on, and the lowest level of it is the news media.
Well, that's for sure.
We all know that, but then just to actually experience it, like this that weird naval intelligence guy told me that there would be a plane shot down, a stealth fighter shot down in Kosovo in like 2 weeks. And he told me all the details.
In the coming 2 weeks?
Not now, but back in Kosovo when that war was going on.
Oh, all right.
He told me and a friend of mine.
Wow, that's a bold prediction on the show.
He told me and a friend of mine, he said, watch the news. This is going to come out at this day, and it's going to be that a stealth fighter was shot down in this area. Because it had already happened.
It already happened. Okay, yeah, all right.
So they reported it as happening like a week or two later than it actually did. Oh, but he knew that.
It's like in the 90s, right?
Yeah, it was in the 90s.
Yeah.
He was doing this to make us to believe his UFO stories. And I didn't believe the UFO stories because I had no way to check them out. He couldn't tell me, well, a UFO is going to land, at Dodger Stadium or in the parking lot of Dodger Stadium on December 12th. So watch out for that. He would never say something like that, but he would show me pictures of UFOs at Area 51 flying, which looked Photoshopped to me. But it was basically, it's like, I'm going to tell you something nobody else knows. You're going to see it come true. And now I'm going to tell you something that nobody else knows. There's no way for you to prove it. But since I've already told you the other thing you're going to believe this. And while it scared me and interested me, I never 100% believed him, which was probably just to save my sanity. But that's how that works. And then every time I see that kind of stuff going on, it's like, what is somebody trying to make us think or believe? I mean, it's it's a psychological game that's played all the time, and it's you realize how easy it is to manipulate people's perceptions of things, and I think that's what the disclosure thing is right now.
Sure that. Yeah, so the last thing I have here in UFOs is a case that I thought was really interesting. It did get some exposure. Actually, ironically, like a month after I wrote about it for Coast to Coast, it got picked up by regular science, mainstream science outlets. So there you go. So get your shit from Coast to Coast, folks.
From Tim Binnall.
Yeah, the Chilean mystery lights. It's a really interesting case. I don't have the specific location in Chile, but what happened was scientists, they were doing some kind of wildlife thing. They had a bunch of trail cameras up in the wilderness, and the trail cameras photographed these mystery lights. And there's no explanation for the lights. It's not like there's no roads or anything like that would account for these. This is like deep in the woods or something. And so they're stumped, and they think it could be some kind of like, natural phenomenon. They're not like, oh, it's fairies or aliens or whatever.
Yeah.
They're not going to say that, but it's like,
right.
They admit they have no idea what these fucking mystery lights are. And I thought that was pretty good because when that, like we were saying, it's these are scientists. These are like Chilean scientists who were like, holy shit, where do these lights come from? So it's like, okay, well, this is a good solid sort of case. This is the kind of case.
Well, they're biologists. They're not,
they're scientists.
Yeah. Well, they're optical physicists. They're not optical physicists or whatever. I mean, they're looking at this thing. The thing is that I looked at that. Yeah, they're scientists. So just kind of like, they're not going to be messing around or hoaxing, obviously.
Right.
Because why mess up their...
They're open to other scientists looking at the shit. You know what I mean? It's not like it's that's the kind of thing that these folks that you're hanging around with, get them in touch with these Chilean scientists. That's the kind of interesting avenue to explore. The
first thing I thought was, are these visible light cameras? Are they infrared? Are they what? And if that's the case, what does that tell you about what the nature of those lights are? And then they said there was something on the report about them going almost the speed of sound. Well, I think that's based on there's like a shot I think it took in the daytime, and it wasn't in a forest. It looked like a big plain with mountains.
Remote area. Yeah,
in a remote area, probably in like southern Chile or something like that, near the tip of the South America, and the lights. I guess they had some kind of reference for distance, although you couldn't see the mountains at night. But one of the quotes was it was going almost the speed of sound, which is ridiculous. That's really fast. And then they come right up to the camera, and either they stop or they only got like, it wasn't a video. It was just like a few still pictures.
Yeah.
Of something moving, like these two lights.
Yeah, it was.
So I'm just wondering, what kind of cameras were they? What was the kind of what kind of camera was being used? What does it pick up? How do they determine movement? All that other stuff. I don't know. And it was activated because something was moving, because they get activated by movement because they're wildlife cameras.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting. It is a weird case, and I don't know what they are. I'm just saying it'd be interesting to know what kind of cameras they were and all that, so they could start narrowing down. Okay, well, the spectrum does not correspond to headlights or flashlights or airplane lights or helicopter,
right,
whatever. So what does it correspond to? And that would be very interesting.
Yeah.
It's like an interesting case. I hadn't heard until you told me about it.
I don't know. I presume we're kind of at the like, hey, we found this weird thing stage, and hopefully maybe by this time next year, I assume that they're pursuing it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm hoping they'll have some more, that we'll hear something about it either next year or in a year or two. And it's not something that just comes and goes. And it's just like, what the hell happened with that Chilean mystery lights thing? So it's like, it'd be interesting to see if they, if they publish some kind of scientific paper. I'm sure a lot of your questions would be answered in there as far as what the equipment was and yada, yada, yada. I don't know anything about, I don't know, I don't even know if that stuff came out necessarily in the original news reports. It was just sort of like trail
It
cameras.
didn't really. It was
Yeah.
just kind of like the only thing I remembered was that it was like a series of 2 or 3 still pictures where these things moved.
Yeah.
It was 2 lights. And then I guess in the news story you sent me, they'd animated it to show like how they might move. But the thing was it was an animation based on keyframes of the original thing. And it's just big, bright white lights, like a really bright one and a slightly less bright one that looked like it was maybe a little further away.
Yeah. All right, well, that kind of does it for UFOs. So we'll move into Bigfoot, and I'll preface this one. We generally do the RIP at the end, but like the biggest Bigfoot story of the year was, I thought, Jeff Meldrum passing away. I don't have. This is kind of weird because, like, I have Miguel Rep Hill Junkie on in a couple weeks, and Lauren Coleman's on next week, so. He did a much better job of sort of remembering Jeff Meldrum, who I had only met once and I was vaguely familiar with, and I knew of his work and contributions to the field and how amazing those were. And he was a tremendous speaker, but I had no personal interaction with him. And it was as I've said, or you'll hear me say, it was sort of a regret that he was just one of those guys that's like, I was always just kind of like, well, I'll get him on with All of America eventually. Like I'll get him on eventually, and then it just never happened. So it's like lesson learned. Like if you want to get somebody on, Binnall, you just contact him now. So because you never know, life's short. But he was a titan, a real titan in the Bigfoot community, and he's going to be definitely missed and really helped sort of. He's kind of like I think I said to Miguel, like the John Mack of Bigfoot. He was sort of like. Or who's the guy from back in the day, the Firestorm book that Andrew Ruffalo wrote? James McDonald. He was like the James McDonald. He was like the scientist who lent his credibility to Bigfoot.
Yeah, and he thought there was something there, and that it deserved scientific scrutiny. And then he never really. I don't know. I didn't know him personally like you. Maybe he really did believe Bigfoot was an actual real thing, and maybe he thought it was biological. Who knows? But publicly, which is the important part, I don't think he ever made a stance like Bigfoot exists and it's a Gigantopithecus.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think
he never did.
He was just like, we got to look into it.
Yeah, he was careful to say, there's evidence. We've got to look at the evidence and not make a decision about what it's going to be beforehand, which is the right and proper thing to do, but people don't do that very often. So it's too bad that he's not around.
Yeah, it was a huge loss for the field. The other big Bigfoot thing I have here is from your home state, California. And I don't believe this passed, but maybe it'll come back sometime in the new year. The California bill to make Bigfoot the state cryptid. I heard it was like just a joke, like filler page that he fucking had to have, like, but then it became a big thing. So I don't know. Maybe it'll come back. I don't know. It got huge press though. It was like all over. The California was going to name Bigfoot.
It's probably a slow news week, and it's an interesting story. The other part I saw in the article was like it sounded like they were kind of in a race with Oregon and Idaho or something to make Bigfoot like the official state cryptid or animal, or like Idaho wanted to make it the state animal, and Oregon was
Idaho
thinking about.
Tried. Yeah. One of those states tried, and then it never passed, and then
now it's kind of a race to see who could do it first, because the first state that says Bigfoot, it's whatever, is gonna they basically can. They can claim the domain name or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like Washington or Oregon or one of those states. Yeah. So California needs to jump on it. I think they should. They got Bluff Creek. I think it's really.
Wasn't there a guy in Oklahoma that wanted to make it a state crime to shoot a Bigfoot? That was last year or a couple of years ago.
It's a crime. No, the guy in Oklahoma wanted to have a cash prize to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's many towns across America that have. Named Bigfoot their official, but it's never reached all the way up to state level. So that would be a benchmark, a Bigfoot benchmark. I don't know any other.
Oklahoma, why would they protect the Bigfoot? They more likely to put a bounty on
that's what it is, the Bigfoot bounty. Yeah, and then the guy had to clarify.
My dad's
like, no,
Oklahoma, I know.
So, that was really about it for Bigfoot stuff. There wasn't any breakthroughs. There was one like the best video of the year, same as last year, turned out to be a hoax. There was some interesting videos. That was really about it. There wasn't any like huge national Bigfoot story that I can recall.
It's like UFOs. If it's a clear video, it's a hoax.
Exactly. Yeah. So now we'll go down to ghosts, and I guess under Bigfoot too. Let me see. Is there anything else under? Yeah, that goes for like other creatures too. I mean, there were some sightings of like Loch Ness Monster, Ogopogo, Lake Champlain Monster sightings. Nothing like major, no like significant sort of thing.
Maybe even have been a Tahoe Tessie one too. I'm not sure.
Could have been. But nothing like earth shattering that stood out to me as sort of worth mentioning here on the thing. Now, actually, ironically enough, this year, there's probably more big stories that came out of the ghost world than Bigfoot. So the three, and these are kind of like, I'll be honest, it's fitting. They're kind of like reality show type stories, but that's kind of what the ghost community is in a way. So, and I'm sure people who are super plugged into that might be like, well, someone came up with a new way of trying the Estes method with whatever. It's like, but I didn't hear of any groundbreaking thing from ghosts, but I did hear of these three stories. So the biggest one, probably was the wife of the Ghost Adventure star was arrested for an alleged murder for hire plot targeting him. So, and she eventually pled guilty to that. So, and I don't have his name in front of me. Let me see if I can pull that up. But he even heard about it while they were ghost hunting. So it's
out in California with somebody I sort of have talked to too. I can't remember his name. It was Aaron Goodwin.
Yes. Yeah. So he thank you. I was just about to pull that up. So so he was obviously, unfortunately, devastated by all this. And it was interestingly, I don't know. It's just sort of, it's to add an extra bizarre layer to all this. The guy she was talking to was a Florida inmate who was serving a life sentence because he murdered his family because he had fallen in love with a woman online and he had given her all his fucking money and had lost his mind and was he had already been the subject of like one of those true crime documentaries. So it was like when I heard the story, I'm like, oh fuck, that guy. Like he's like one of those guys where it's like so notorious.
Yeah, they were the perfect family.
He fell in love with the online lady. Like pretended like he was still going to college and like gave her all his college tuition and shit, and like never even saw her, just saw her pictures and stuff. It was like, holy shit, this guy lost his fucking mind. Then when the family was like, hey, what's going on, dude? He like murdered them all. Shouldn't laugh, but it's like, Jesus, the world is stranger than fiction. And then he winds up in jail for life, and then he gets mixed up with the ghost hunter's wife. So it's like
they found stuff on his like cell phone when they confiscated his secret cell phone he had in prison when they confiscated it.
Yeah, it's like this character cannot help but lead a colorful life. It's like, dude, you've done enough. Why are you? He's like, this is like round 2 for him. He's like, oh shit, I'm going to be in another. They're going to make another TV show about me. Holy shit, this is great.
I think he was trying to contact somebody on the outside to do it.
Yeah.
He's going to take a cut of the money and all kinds of stuff. It just sounds so insane.
It really does. It's like,
why would you do something like that over cell phone or anything that could be found, traced, anything? People are like, it's just like people are stupid to begin with, but then you hear this, and it's like you're doing something illegal, and you do these. It's like you want to be caught. Are you that dumb?
Yeah. It's really insane, and it's like, okay, like
I'm glad they were, because you don't want
it's great
murdered, but still.
Yeah, but it's like, it's really, lady. Yeah, you're like, lady, what are you? Yeah, It's like you want to hire someone to murder your husband. It's like you're gonna go through a middleman who's a convict in fucking prison, talking to you on a contraband phone. Like this is like Jesus Christ.
Not even a conversation text that you can just read.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Really, really wild. So yeah, she pled guilty. She's in jail now. He was obviously understandably shaken up by that. I don't blame him. So it's that's a nightmare. I can't even imagine. The only thing, I mean, you always want to find out though that they're trying to murder you rather than fucking be murdered. Plenty of times that does happen. So it's like he has to be. I'm sure as a part of him was like, oh, thank God. Like, thank God they caught her, because clearly, like, if this went south with the convict, she might have just gone to somebody else fucking competent who would have actually killed me.
Yeah, and Aaron Goodwin may not be a saint. Who knows? But nobody deserves to die over just being an asshole if that's what he is.
No, I watch a lot of these true crime shows, and it's like I never understand the people who are like, I can't get divorced. I'm just going to kill you. It's like, what the fuck are you like? What? Why? Just take the L and get divorced. Don't fucking go crazy. Like you're insane. Like
or leave suddenly one day like a country song and never come back.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like people who resort to murder. It's like you lost your fucking mind. So then there is another death here, an excellent story. This was one that was
the
like
doll death.
Yes, paranormal researcher dies while on tour with infamous Annabelle doll. I also don't have his name here in the notes, so let me see. Can you click on that and tell me his name?
Yeah, let me find it. Oh, dies on tour with the infamous Annabelle doll.
Yes.
So that was. It's coming up.
Yes.
Dan Rivera.
Dan Rivera, yeah. Apologies.
Society for Psychic Research. Yeah, go ahead. I looked at I did some background searching on what that was and what had happened and the autopsy report and all that.
Yeah, well, I believe he was touring the doll around the country, and just to be fair, they kind of were like playing it up but not playing it up, that this doll, it could be dangerous, that we took it out of its case in Connecticut and or Rhode Island or wherever the fuck it was, and and then weird shit happened. For anyone who remembers the awesome prison break that happened down in New Orleans area, where like fucking 12 people broke out of the prison and they like wrote "We Gone" on the wall or some shit. Yeah. And it was like they had to track them all down, and it was like they finally caught the last one like months later. That happened while the doll was down there, and an infamously haunted plantation burned down. Yeah, which has a lot of baggage involved with it, obviously. And
I've actually visited that plantation. When I heard about it, it's like, oh man, I was just there like a couple years ago. In fact, that might have been one of the Paramania trips.
I don't know if we did a haunted plantation.
No, I don't think we did. That's right. I did go to one though.
We did the lunatic asylum, but so the haunted doll was down there when all that shit happened. So they were kind of playing it up, and like another weird thing happened, I think, while they were on tour, and it was kind of, in this TikTok age, there were TikTok videos of people like, oh, is this connected? Da, da, da. So then Dan Rivera, he dies in Gettysburg while on tour with the doll. And of course, like people were like, well, that's the doll. And, and I saw a lot of people in the ghost community who were like, don't you fucking dare blame the doll. This is, get serious. Get serious. This is not the doll's fault. And it was like, I'm saying the fucking doll. You were the ones talking about the doll. Nobody brought up the doll till you all brought it up, that the doll was infamous. So what do you want us to think? You fuck. So that was kind of like, I found
Jesus.
Yeah, I found the hypocrisy of all that to be rather like, look, if you're gonna tour with the doll, you got to take your lumps with the doll. It sucks that this guy died, and he had a heart attack. I don't think it's connected to the doll, but it will forever be connected to the doll, because it's like,
if you think there's a cover up, then there's no hope for you. but I looked like at some follow up on it, and the coroner's office said, "Look, it was a normal heart condition. He had problems with his heart in the past. It was just a result of all these conditions. Like it was just something that was diagnosed. It wasn't taken care of in the right way or whatever, and he died from it." And also, I think he was in the Army, so who knows what he was exposed to there.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just a wild timing of it all. And it's like it will be connected. You know, this is the kind of thing that'll show up in a book like 50 years, you know, even sooner, but like, down the line when people don't even remember it as well. And it'll be sort of an urban legend one of those real urban legend type Fortean type stories that are connected to it. So, and you know, I mean, look, my heart goes out to his family and his friends and everything, but I think if you could speak to him today, he'd probably be kind of, you know, thrilled that would be the way to go. Like, I'm fucking part of the haunted doll lore. This is, you know, like I said, the country
gotta go.
Yeah, when we went on the Bigfoot hunt, I'm like, if I fucking die, like, because we encountered Bigfoot, it's like, well, great. That's that put an exclamation point on my life.
Yeah,
like
that's same thing. Yeah. When people tell me, "Would you go up in space?" I said, "Yeah, I would a second."
Right.
I would go up in a rocket and say, "What if you died?" And it's like, what if I die in bed? Can you imagine dying on a rocket in space? That's amazing. Everybody to remember you.
Exactly.
And you'd be having the greatest time, and then suddenly you'd go, "Uh-oh," and then that would be it.
Right. Like those people on that submarine. They probably heard a couple pops, and then they were missed. So they didn't really care. And then this connects to after Matt Rivera died. The house, the museum that the Warrens had, it was sold to comedian Matt Rife. I don't even know who that is. Like, apparently,
I didn't even know it. Like, yeah, exactly. I've never heard of him, but I guess he's famous enough. He had enough money to buy the.
Yeah, he's really popular. He has a Netflix special that's on now. That's how I was like, oh, that's the guy from the Warrens' house. So him and a partner, a YouTuber who I don't have in front of me, they bought that house and they leased all the materials inside so they could keep the museum and everything going. And then this leads to the next story, which I covered almost in excess at Coast to Coast because I found it oddly interesting. This is the Conjuring House. So the Conjuring House, we probably talked about it last year. The owner she started to slip. She started to go through some hard times. Let's just put it that way. So she was going through some hard times, and they shut the Conjuring House down as a tourist attraction. And then later in the year, around September, it came out that she was going to sell the Conjuring House. It was going to be auctioned, actually, because she couldn't pay the mortgage anymore. And it was going to be on Halloween. It was going to be a big to-do, I'm sure. Ironically enough, the other Ghost Adventures star, I think, is a ghost. No, is he the ghost? Yeah, Jason Hawes. Ghost Hunters. He's Ghost Hunters.
Yes. Ghosts. Everything's ghosts.
The ghost people listening are like, this guy's no fuck he's talking about. So yeah, Jason Hawes of Ghost Hunters wanted to buy the fucking house. So that was then it was going up for auction. Then all of a sudden it wasn't going to go up for auction because it turned out that the YouTuber that's connected to Matt Rife bought the mortgage. I learned a lot about fucking mortgages and this shit from this story. So he owned the mortgage, but he didn't own the house. And then it came out that the lady had already agreed now to sell it to Jason Hawes. And out of nowhere, her sister comes along and is like, she's having hard times. She can't be selling that house. She's not of competent mind. And so now it's tied up in court because they're like, who the fuck are you? You have nothing to do with this, lady. And
look, it's still tied up in court now.
It's like
settled last week.
It's supposed to be, I think, a hearing early January. And Jason Hawes of Ghost Hunters has it signed in hand, the deed to the house. So presumably he will get it. Provided this lawsuit doesn't go anywhere. It's a saga. I've found it quite interesting. And
you can teach a real estate course now.
Yeah, I could. Do you have any thoughts on that? You deal with this kind of shit you got properties and shit. So Yeah.
Well, I don't deal with it on this level. The thing is that's what happens when people either don't pay attention to what they're doing, or they let things go for too long, and then they're in trouble and they can't take care of it in the amount of time legally, whatever prescribed for it, or they forgot they signed something, or it wasn't done properly. Like, okay, you got all this signed, but it was never notarized. So, haha.
Oh, yeah.
There's all kinds of weird little things, and we just sold like this junk house out in the middle of nowhere. That my dad had, and it was just a dumb little house. It wasn't even worth that much, and it took so much paperwork. God, I could not believe the amount of paperwork for it, just this dumb little piece of crap house. So there's so many things that can go wrong with a real estate deal, or inheritance, or who owns the mortgage, who's the legal owner, what is their address? Do they actually live at that address? Have they been paying the taxes? Who's been paying the taxes? Do they it's so much. Yeah. This is why lawyers and real estate people get paid a lot of money, because a lot of people don't know how this works. Who has the time to figure all this out?
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
I don't know if that's an expert opinion on anything.
Untangle the story.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait a minute, he owns the mortgage, but he doesn't own the fucking deed. How's that work? So, but that's the Conjuring House saga, and it's part of a larger trend I've noticed that is these primo haunted locations are starting to get bought up by places. I know.
Yeah, because they're money makers. They're an investment if you do it right.
Yeah, and it's a good thing, and it depends on whose hands it falls into. Because I've heard a lot of grumbling about the Velasquez Axe House owners. Who are very litigious, so I will not speak of them much longer.
Yeah.
But there's some strife involved with that, and then there's a whole documentary here just waiting to be done, like real estate and haunted real estate. There we go. I know, yeah. And then there was a haunted mansion in Massachusetts that was bought by like locals who want to keep it going, so that's good. And then it's like, I don't know how I feel about this comedian and this YouTuber who I have no idea who they are. I don't know how I feel about them going around snatching up properties. So I guess I'm happy that the Ghost Hunters guy got it. But it's like, it's just it's kind of, it's a little bit of a bummer in a way. I don't know. But it's like, if these places can't keep their doors open, then better that someone buys it.
Then they become rich people's playthings, and then who knows what the future of the place is. It's probably best that a historical society buys it, who never have any money, and then administer it just as a historical site, and then have it promote itself and support itself, rather than have it be something where somebody thinks it's a cash cow. Which if you market things right, anything can be a cash cow.
Yeah, that's true. That's for sure. So those are the three ghost world stories of the year. Like I said, kind of reality show-y, but that's that world, It really is. Okay, so the next big thing that stood out big time to me this year, because I'm like, I noticed it. And it's funny because I don't think a lot of other media outlets noticed this, but I was like, since I'm on the beat, I'm like, hey, wait a minute, I'm noticing something here. And that is Amelia Earhart searches. There were three. Well, let's just start with this. Purdue announced they were going to do Amelia Earhart search. Apparently, Amelia Earhart was intimately linked with Purdue and was an advisor or a teacher there during the height of her fame. And they, I guess, designed the plane that she tried to fly around the world in. So they're intimately connected to Amelia Earhart. So they're backing a search, which was supposed to happen in November. That's been kicked up to next year. Meanwhile, a British pilot came out and said he thinks he knows where it is and he's going to do a search. Another search was conducted in September that I don't believe produced anything. And there was another search that a deep sea company announced that they were going to do. So it's like there's some weird, I don't know if it's the advent of satellite pictures and shit that have
the British pilot was the satellite picture guy, the main one.
Yeah.
He found something on Google Earth that looked like a plane in that lagoon.
Right. So there seems to be some kind of race to find Amelia Earhart for some fucking reason. I don't know why, but or not necessarily like a purposeful race, but like people seem to be becoming more confident that they know where she is, and they're able to get the financial backing to go after Amelia Earhart, to the point that there are 3 or 4 searches that have either been done or set to be done, this year or next year. So it's kind of an interesting development. It would be great. I feel like maybe that might be one that we might actually, at least if they find the plane, I think that might be one that we may see a solution to in our lifetime.
It's like the Titanic. If they find it and they have salvage rights and all that, I mean, the Titanic, I think, broke ground on that, where they can. It used to be anything that was sunk was off limits because it was considered a archaeological or a grave site, not even an archaeological site, but a grave site. It shouldn't be disturbed. But I think the Titanic, no pun intended, blew that out of the water, and now I think it's kind of a free-for-all for any salvage company to find whatever it might be. Maybe it started with the pirate stuff. I don't know. But whatever it might be, and then exploit that. It's like, oh, the Amelia Earhart exhibit. Just walk through the plane, blah, blah, blah. That's going to happen as soon as they find it.
Yeah, that's what Purdue wants to do, actually. Yeah, bring the plane back. So, yeah.
Yeah. Why? Because somebody at Purdue designed the Lockheed, whatever the hell it was that she was flying.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was called. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, it was a Lockheed, but yeah. So they worked.
I should know this.
And all the instrumentation and all that and shit. So it's like, it was Purdue sponsored then. So the search is Purdue sponsored. So I mean, I think you bring up the Titanic. Yeah, it was like 60 years till they found the Titanic. So something like that. So it's like, or 70 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was 70 because it wasn't really found till the 80s.
80s, yeah. And the sinking was like in the teens, right? So it was something
1912.
Yeah, and they found in the 80s. So
yeah.
So I mean, look, that's a long fucking time. So I mean, it's still possible. Amelia Earhart vanished, I think, almost 100 years ago. So it's still possible that they'll find it.
Yeah.
And that would be great. I'd love that. That would be awesome. I have no emotional attachment to like, oh no, I hope they never find her. It's like, no, that'd be cool. DB Cooper audio. This fucking blew my mind when it came out over Thanksgiving. It's I talked about it with Pat Boland on the show, folks. If you heard that one around the beginning of December. Someone who worked for the airline that was hijacked by DB Cooper. They recorded it. They recorded part of it when when the plane landed and the passengers got out and they brought the money to DB Cooper. They recorded the radio conversation between the pilots and the airline company. And no one knew. I think it was like known about that there was a recording, but no one had ever heard it or anything. And apparently the guy who had the recording had like the people in the Cooper vortex, the Cooper heads, the big time researchers in that field, they somehow connected with the guy. And after years and years of convincing, he gave up the tapes, or he didn't actually give them the tapes. I think he let them out. Gave them access to it or whatever. And so they released it. And it's super lousy, like cassette tapes. So they only have salvaged like a small portion of the audio. But it's tremendous. It's really like, I was blown away as someone who really into the case, because it was like you can hear the pilots talking to the guy about DB Cooper. They never call him DB Cooper, but they're like the guy, because it's taking a long time to fuel the plane up while they're waiting, and they were like, he's getting kind of agitated. We gotta get this going. And then like at the end, it sounds like
they know he's going to jump out, probably.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They're like,
Obviously, because they gave him part of his demands were parachutes. So
right. Right. They're like, he might already be gone. That's what they say. Like in the thing, they're like, he could be back there, or he might be gone. The stewardess said that he, or the flight attendant, I guess, he said, that he sent her up front and fucking, so he might be gone now. And it was just like, holy shit! It was just really cool to listen to. This thing happened as it was happening. Like, and again, it was also like, holy shit, how was this out there for all these years and nobody, like, just what other kind of cool shit might be out there? It kind of gives you hope that there's some crazy thing out there, more cool shit.
Yeah, there could be. I hope. When I was reading, I was more interested in the restoration of the tapes, and they're saying, "Well, we only were able to get a few minutes off that." It's like some of these tapes, if you play them, that's it; they're destroyed.
Right. Yeah.
So what has to happen is that you have to actually restore the tape so that it will play, because generally it's the oxide is coming off, or the tape is sticking to itself, or whatever.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out a way to get the oxide to stick on the mylar of the base of the tape, just to get it to go over some playheads, because after it goes over the playheads, it just basically flakes off or gets in the pinch roll or whatever. But if it's there when it gets to the playhead, you can make a digital copy of it before it's destroyed. So it sounds like what they're trying to do is figure out how to restore it enough so that it can be played all the way through, and they can get that digital copy as it, as it's being played, and then destroyed as it's being played, because you get one chance. So, and I've dealt with that. I used to do audio restoration. We used to have tapes. We would bake them, which was mean you would actually put them in a vegetable, like in a fruit dehydrator, and heat them for like 10 hours at like 200 degrees, just to get all the chemicals out, so that it would bind back onto the tape base, the medium that the tape was on. It's there's a lot of weird little things people do to restore audio, or to capture it before it's not playable anymore.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I presume they're taking all precautions they can, because they don't want to fucking lose this tape. So, yeah.
I hope the person knows what they're doing. It's like they got 12 minutes of the whole. It's like, Jesus. Does that mean that's as far as they've gotten? That's as much as they've done? Or did he destroy the rest of it?
I don't know the answer to that question, but I'm going to have the guy who was mixed up in, well, that sounds nefarious. I'm going to have the guy who got the tapes and released the audio. He's going to be on Binnall America.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
Sometime in 26. So I'll ask him.
Ask him about audio restoration and what they had to do to the tapes, and what condition are they in, and what kind of medium are they on, and what's the brand of the tape, and does that cause problems? Because we had issues where 3M tape was terrible, but Sony tape would last. And Ampex tape was terrible, and it depended on years and when they were made and what the lot of the the materials they used for it.
Right. Yeah.
It gets really complicated. I mean, that guy probably knows. There's people at the Smithsonian doing this stuff that probably know. Some of the people I worked with knew, but
yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll run all that by him when we get him on the show. So yeah, hopefully, I assume, it'll be interesting. Yeah, because even if. Yeah, I mean, I'm the type of person who knows with this guy. I'm sure the tape was kept in a place, but not in a place to preserve it. You know what I mean? I'm sure.
Yeah, it's probably kept in somebody's drawer. Hopefully, and hopefully it was. It wasn't subjected to huge changes in temperature and humidity and all that, because that really screws up things.
Yeah. I can't really speak to this next story because I literally just heard about it over the weekend, and I'm probably going to write it up for Coast to Coast tomorrow. So I'll actually do my deep dive into the story itself.
That new thing.
Show.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the Zodiac Black Dahlia claim. This guy claims that using AI, he solved the Zodiac murder, and it points to someone who was also a suspect in the Black Dahlia case. So he believes that he has solved both cases using AI, which is a really fantastic claim. And it's backed up by
I think he's autistic or something too. So he's like, well, this allows me to concentrate and all that. I read the story.
Yeah, I read the story too, and it's just kind of, that's the basics of it. And it's an interesting. I mean, it's interesting. I don't know really what else to say.
Well, there was a
How do you
really
prove something
yeah,
like
the one that had never been solved, the one cipher had never been solved. He said, "I will give you my name in this cipher, and if you solve it, you'll know who I am." And nobody's ever been able to solve it. And some people say it wasn't even a code; and it was just some BS. And then he just methodically, he said, went through it for months and months or years and years, and then used AI in a way that would help him figure out how to tease the name out. And the name was somebody that was the name was somebody that was one of the boyfriends of the Black Dahlia of Elizabeth Short. And he said he didn't,
Right.
if he didn't know, he didn't in a million years would think that even was the case. He was just like, well, I'm just trying to find out who did this. And the guy apparently was a medical student at USC, and he had lived with Elizabeth Short for like 2 months. And he was like, he had problems in the army and was dishonorably discharged for being nuts. It's a really long, complicated, very interesting story. And then the other side, of course, it's, I can't remember where I read it, like the New York Times or something, or maybe the San Francisco Chronicle. But anyway, the reporter had talked to a few Black Dahlia case people and people that were working on it, and amateur people and authors, and they were like, this is BS. The guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So it remains to be seen in the I don't know about the court of a public opinion, but the court of, can these people disprove what he said by any means other by any evidence that they'd have uncovered before? It's like no, this isn't possible for this to be the guy. I don't know how you got that name, but he also said that I think the guy had written a letter or taken a picture of Elizabeth Short, and this was before
Zodiac. He wrote Zodiac. He did a drawing of a torso. Yeah, he did a drawing of a torso, which apparently was what the girl, how they found this Elizabeth. And then on the side wrote Zodiac. Yeah. So that's kind of.
And this happened 20 years before the Zodiac murder. So, but the guy was alive apparently during the Zodiac murders. I mean, it was, but I can't remember if he was actually in the Bay Area when it happened or not. Who knows? Maybe he was, and that's more part of the puzzle.
I think he probably was. Yeah. I mean, it has to at least be plausible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I would assume this guy looked into it and, and has that in hand. But I haven't, like I said, I haven't done a super deep dive, but it's interesting. It may be these cases like I talked about with the DB Cooper thing. It's like, it's very, cases like that and Zodiac and this Black like unless you have DNA or like some piece of evidence from the fucking crimes, like it's going to be very hard to ever. These will end up like Jack the Ripper. Like you're never going to really be able to fucking say who did it, because it's like, well, all the circumstantial evidence could add up, but we have no solid. Like, could you win in a court case with this? It's like, I don't know. It's like, so we'll see. Now this one's kind of a fun one. The Art Bell biopic is seemingly in the works with Paul Giamatti playing Art Bell. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I still listen to Art every week while I work on the Art Bell vault stuff. So I'm more familiar with Art than I was when I first listened to it.
I bet. Yeah, you probably listen to like hundreds of shows now. So
yeah, I don't listen to them all the way through, but I do have to listen to them enough to make sure what's being said, what the flow of the story is, and all that other stuff. If it's a good enough show, I'll listen to the whole thing, which I do once in a while. I'll just put the thing on in the background, and every once in a while, I'll stop it and write notes. Because AI doesn't work too well with that. I tried it for a while, and it doesn't. But anyway, the biopic, there was like some picture of Paul Giamatti, like with the lighting that you always see Art Bell with the black. Oh yeah, and it's like I could totally see him as Art Bell.
Yeah, and he'll do the voice really well. I bet. I bet he'll really get that down. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what the story is.
Radio down, sir.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they make the story out to be.
And what they do with it, I mean, it could go in so many ways. And it's like, life doesn't follow a story. So you have to kind of force somebody's biography into something that sounds like a story for a movie. So what kind of story are they going to talk about? Are they going to talk about when he quit, why he quit, why he came back, when he moved to the Philippines, why did he do that? You know, what was the court case around the person that was accusing him of
right? How much of that is going to be in the movie? Yeah. I think honestly, I think it'll probably wind up being like the Howard Stern movie, where it'll just be like he came from humble beginnings and became a radio phenomenon with the paranormal, and then they'll kind of like then some of that, you know, then like it'll end before Ramona even dies, and then that'll be like at the end, you know, in the end they give you a little update, like Ramona died then, Art remarried, Art died then, and then not get into any of the really controversial sort of parts of it. That's my theory, but who knows? I
was working the night when that happened, or was I? I do remember George Norrie got really emotional about it.
Oh, when Art died. Yeah, for sure. We all were like, holy shit.
We all were, but he was like on the air, and he had such a strong reaction to it. I just thought, was there unfinished business between them that he regretted? Because when I see that, I just think of like, you know, there's something you wanted to tell somebody, or something you wanted to reconcile with them, or whatever, or ask them a question about it. Just now you'll never be able to do it, and you feel bad about it. And I kind of thought that what's might have been going on with Norrie. And I felt bad for him, you know, and I felt bad for everybody. So it was too bad. It wasn't it? Didn't he OD on some like COPD medicine or something?
Something like that. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, there was some strange stuff going on out there when he thought he thought people were like shooting at his house and shit. So I don't know what.
Oh, I forgot about that part.
Yeah, it was very weird right around the end.
I didn't work with Coast when Art was on. I got interviewed by him once.
You were interviewed by him, yeah,
which was amazing.
Yeah, that's a great feather in your cap. So we'll do the RIP now. I only had two that stood out to me. We talked about Jeff Meldrum. Wacky Hal Lindsey passed away this year, which is kind of a surprise that he wasn't already dead, because he was like 90.
Yeah, he was born November 1929, something like that.
Yeah. So he was 96 or so, maybe 95 if he was born in November. That was way before my time and everything, but he was like an apocalyptic sort of
before my time too, generally. But I did notice that like he's famous for the late great Planet Earth, which was basically a examination of biblical prophecy and how everything was like coming true according to biblical prophecy, and that, you know, it said certain parts of the world would be in power and other ones wouldn't, and there'd be a giant apocalyptic battle at the end, and the world would end, and then Jesus would return. And I remembered him, and I sort of looked him up today, and it's like, wow, every conspiracy theory, or a bunch of them that were floating around in the 80s and 90s, a lot of them kind of either came from or were popularized by Hal Lindsey.
He was pretty influential on the conspiracy scene.
Yeah.
And on Bob Dylan. I think he inspired Bob Dylan's brief Christian conversion, from what I
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
When he went on Saturday night and did that serve yourself or serve somebody song?
Yeah.
I remember when that happened. Everybody's like, "What the hell is he talking about?" And then
he came like a hardcore Christian, for like 2-3 albums. I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago. And then Skeptic Joe Nickel, another guy that I never had any interaction with, so I can't really speak to. Maybe you have. I don't know. Maybe you had. I never had any
interaction with him, but I had zero respect. No, you know what? I had some respect for him.
Okay.
Because he was a psychop like founder.
Right.
And he was the one I think he was the one that explained Kelly Hopkinsville as barn owls or something. It's like,
yeah.
Where do you, it was one of those things where, I mean, it's the kind of the hardcore or fundamentalist skeptic idea. It's like, it can't be unsolved, so it must be this thing that's the most possible thing. If you throw out a bunch of the data and a bunch of the, it's like, oh, well, they were mistaken. It's like, oh, so they weren't mistaken when they're supporting what you think, but they weren't mistaken when. So anyway, I got that feeling from him a lot. And so I had a not very much respect for him. However, Stopped Clock, I think it was him that tried to explain how the Nazca lines were made. Maybe it was. I think it was.
Yeah, but yeah.
But what he did is he just went out in a farmer's field somewhere. He just said, look, can I do an experiment out there? And he just pounded a bunch of stakes into the ground and then stretched strings between them and scratched the hummingbird glyph, almost like, I think it was like 3/4 size or half size. But he did it without any going into the air. He did it without, astral travel. He did it without any of that stuff. And he showed it was perfectly easy to create giant geoglyphs, things on the ground like the Nazca lines, without any way to look at them. However, for a lot of the Nazca lines, they could climb up mountains, I guess, around there and sort of look. Not for all of them, but a lot of them you can see. And the other thing was, I read that if you go there, there's wooden stakes in the ground left over, like in the glyphs. Wow. So apparently, maybe that's how they were done. So it's not really a mystery. So, I can say, I don't like him and I think he's horrible. He's one of those horrible skeptics. But he did have that. He actually went out and did something and said, look, you can do it. I did it. And he showed how he did it. And that was, instead of just talking about it, he actually did it. So that I got to give him credit for that, at least that.
Yeah, I mean, and he might have been right about some stuff. You never know. Maybe not the barn owls, but he could have been right about the Nazca lines or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like
I think he was right about the Nazca lines.
I think he was one of those skeptics who fucking has maybe not him so much as he was older, but there's these skeptic podcasts that fucking cover everything. It's like they cover everything. So it's like he probably did have an opinion on every different thing that was out there. And some of the stuff he probably could have been right about, like Loch Ness Monster is probably just a giant eel or whatever. It's like, well, you're not necessarily wrong about that one, Joe, but get the fuck out of here with your barn owls.
Yeah.
And then there was California's Earl Grey Anderson of MUFON, who I'm sure you had some interaction with. You said earlier, you mentioned him earlier, actually, your friend. He passed away this year.
Yeah. And he was a friend. He was a fairly close friend. It did affect me. What happened was about 4 or 5 more years ago, he contacted me and he asked if I wanted to join MUFON. And I said, no, I don't. He said, well, if you want to join the response team, I'll let you use whatever techniques that you want to come up with. And I was like, no, I don't. He said, why not? Why don't you want to do this? I said, because I'm not qualified and I don't have the time. And I don't want to be messing with people's psychology when they should be talking to somebody that's a professional mental health person. Not because they're crazy, but because they're probably upset. And I don't have the training for that kind of stuff. And he said, well, we've got people that have the training for it. And they talk to them. And I said, I just don't want to, Earl. He said, and I said, I don't want to join MUFON. He said, okay, but will you help me change it? And I said, what do you mean? He said, it's a bunch of old guys that are set in their ways. And I really like some of the stuff you've written about. I totally agree with it. And eventually what happened was he got me on the speakers, whatever it's called, the slate of speakers at this year's MUFON national meeting. I've never spoken at a MUFON national meeting.
I've neither spoken nor smoked.
Yeah, exactly. And it was fun, and people actually asked really cool, intelligent, probing questions that showed they listened to me and were taking in what I wanted to say.
How old was Earl?
My God, I think he was in his 70s, early 70s. He died of cancer. It was very quick.
Oh.
Because he called me like a month before and said, I've been diagnosed with cancer. I'm going to go in for treatment. It's very easily controlled at this point. It's just a little chemo and radiation. And he sent me a picture of himself. He goes, okay, I'm going in. It was a picture of him in the hospital with chemo needles in his arms, and he was waving at me. The next week, he took a turn for the worse. And then he kind of recovered, and I talked to him 3 days before he died, and I said, I'll come down and visit you. And the day I was going to come down and visit, nobody was answering his phone. So I just left him alone, and it turned out he had slipped into a coma, and then 2 days later, he passed away. So it was completely out of the blue. completely unexpected, and fast, like within a couple of months.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you got cancer, that's probably the better way to go than,
The one thing that he said to me, and I quoted him, and I quote him in talks when I get a chance to speak publicly or right now, is he had like done hundreds and hundreds of witness interviews for MUFON. And the coolest and the smartest thing he ever said was, he said, Greg, if there's something that if the witness doesn't tell me something that's completely wacky and doesn't make any sense, I tend not to believe them. Because he said,
it's a good rule.
If you're trying to tell me something that happened to you that's really strange, and you have to have it make sense, it seems like you wouldn't want to admit to me when there's something that doesn't make sense and doesn't fit in.
Right.
But he would ask them anything else, something that just you didn't even think was related. I won't judge you for it. I hear this stuff all the time. And he said he got the weirdest stories from people. It's like, oh, I saw a UFO, but I also saw a talking dog when I was walking home. Just stuff like that, where he was just like,
yeah, that's the good shit.
Yeah, exactly. So he will be greatly missed, and I hope the people that were working with him, and I've talked to some of them, they totally believe in what he was doing, and so they're going to continue his legacy, which is good. I mean, they're good people, and I hope they don't fall into the MUFON trap. Like I was talking to one MUFON guy, and he said, "Oh, I was talking to somebody about this case that happened up near me, I don't know where it was, like Central California somewhere." And he said, yeah, this woman had this strange like abduction experience and all that. And then there were these weird magnetic readings. And I said, oh, you should go back there and see if the magnetic readings are the same. He goes, yeah, I thought it might be an undersea base. And I went, oh, God. Oh, no.
I love it. Jesus. All right, what are you crazy? I'm not going back there. There's fucking aliens. Oh, man.
No, he is going to go back there. But he says, it indicates to me there might be some sort of alien undersea base off the coast. And I was like, where'd you figure?
Would you find a pamphlet?
I don't know.
Oh,
I mean, it's just, that was the model this person had for, and it kind of surprised me. I was like, that's a huge leap from I talked to a witness to there might be an undersea base off the coast.
Yeah. Well, God bless. All right. Well, Earl Grey Anderson, you'll be missed. Alongside Dan Rivera, we talked about earlier, and Jeff Meldrum, Hal Lindsey, and even skeptic Joe Nickel.
Joe Nickel. Yeah. Nickel, I always pronounced his name.
Oh, all right. I didn't know if I was mispronouncing it or not.
I don't know if I am.
Crossed paths with Friedman a bunch back in the day. So,
I'm sure he did.
I'm sure they're fighting up in heaven now.
I hope so.
Or at least one of them is like, I told you so, stands waiting there at the fucking pearly gates and be like, I told you it was a fucking alien crash. Come here. I'll bring you back now. All right. So 2026, that's it for the year. That's all I got. I don't, there are many world events worth mentioning, but this is a paranormal show. So, that's.
Oh, you put down the Spielberg movie thing.
Yeah, I moved it down to in my notes just now to under.
Oh, because it's next year.
Next year, yeah. So,
it's 2026. Yeah.
To speak in a sense to my earlier point, just to touch on that as we look ahead to the new year. The trailer came out like last week or whatever, and as I said, there's this whole ecosystem, this UAP ecosystem that I don't know about, but they get on my Twitter, on my For You, and I see them and shit. And these people were like, and I think Miguel tipped me off that this would happen, and I'm like, you're fucking crazy, Miguel. But they do. They're like dissecting the fucking trailer and like looking for clues and signs and shit of that it's like a hidden messages about UFOs, and it's like this is not for the public. And it's like, there's like callbacks and homages and shit, but there's like, but I don't like Spielberg hasn't been hired like Stanley Kubrick to like, do UFO disclosure akin to the moon landing or something. It's like, this is a fake movie, you guys know, right? Like, you realize this is gonna be a movie. So I thought that was just kind of funny, but it is, I think we'll see a lot more of that, but I don't think it's going to change the world or anything. I think it's going to be it'll be in the news for a couple of days or a week leading up to the release of the movie, and they'll have, think pieces and when the stars are on the shows and shit, and they'll be like, "Do you believe in aliens?" Or like, "What do you think? Do you think the government?" And then the next week they'll be like, "Oh, it's the new Smurfs movie or whatever," and then they'll have fucking Katy Perry on, and they'll be like, "Oh, what was it like wearing the blue makeup and everything?" So it's like the time moves so fast now; it's hard to really make an impact in that way. But personally, I'll be interested to see if it's actually any good, because it's kind of, E.T. and Close Encounters were really good. The War of the Worlds is kind of lousy, I guess. I didn't even see it, but this is an original. I didn't see it either. Yeah, this is like his original. So we'll see. Will it be as culturally impactful or not? It's a whole different world than when those movies came out.
Yeah, there was the last speaker at the SUAPS thing in Germany. He talked about Close Encounters, and when you were talking right now, it reminded me of what he said. He said Close Encounters became part of the UFO myth and is inextricably linked with what everybody talks about and thinks about in a lot of ways about the UFO subject now, and people don't even realize it. I mean, it's part of the mythology, and so I think people are kind of worried about, and they've ingested all that mythology. Or at least, cultural point of view or whatever you want to call it. When I say mythology, I don't mean something that's fake. I mean that a story that we tell ourselves about what the reality of something is or how we handle it. Yeah. And so
lore.
I think what everybody was worried about was like, I've got a certain idea about this, not realizing that some of it came from Close Encounters in the first place.
Yeah.
And everything that's happened since then. That it framed, just like I think the cover of Communion was basically like, that's what everybody thought aliens looked like for the rest since then.
Yeah.
And I think that they're worried that it's going to like contradict something that they thought or whatever. I couldn't watch X-Files because every time I watch it, I go, man, they could have done such better than that. Or, I know where that story came from, but I'm a special case, so there's nothing for me to say about it. I did post something about it the day the thing came out, and I just said, well, I'm kind of worried, but I still want to see what happens. And the reason I was worried is because it's called Disclosure Day. It's like, but I don't think it has anything to do with government disclosure. In the movie, I think the aliens just do their own disclosure. It's like they don't even go through the government; they bypass.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. It's like a takeoff of like Independence Day in a sense. But I will. It's too late now for me to save Mr. Spielberg's film. But here's what I would have done. Okay, I posted this on Twitter. Okay, they say, all right, they hear from the aliens, right? They're like, oh shit. The aliens are coming here. Fuck. They're aliens. They're aliens. The ship comes, fucking lands, opens up. Who rolls out? Richard Dreyfuss. He's fucking back from when they sent him in Close Encounters of the Third. They come off, and it's like a Planet of the Apes. And he's like, "What the fuck have you done to this planet? This is crazy." So you get like a Planet of the Apes ending. It connects to the Close Encounters somehow. I would blow my fucking mind. And it's like the aliens are us. Turns out, so that would be so. I don't know. I just find that so funny because then they really get Richard Dreyfuss. He's still alive, so it would be great.
Oh, that'd be great.
I don't think that's what's going to happen, but it would be.
That's cool. A great idea.
Yeah. Well, I guess what it'll be interesting to see is if he sticks to the lore that these are like fleshy beings from outside of the world or organisms or whatever, or if he taps into sort of the more esoteric interpretations of all this, then it's like, no, this is, the Valayan style type thing. This is a control system, or this is we share the earth with these things. They're not aliens. Like, that would be fucking amazing if the whole point of the movie is like, no, they're not what we thought they were. They're here with us right now. And it's like, well, that would be fucking, but
a cryptoterrestrial thing.
Yeah, exactly. So
So who knows? I'm going to go see it. Everybody, you and I know is going to go see it, and we can pass judgment then. But then we can talk about that at the
year in review,
2026 year in review. Yeah,
exactly. So 2026, you said you put some stuff down for the new year. The only thing I really have been kind of feeling, and I'm sure it's personal bias, but I feel like Bigfoot's coming back. I feel like Bigfoot's got a bit of a momentum to it. It's sort of becoming, it's really becoming more culturally, like it's I'm sure it's kind of riding on the UFO wave, right, of like marvelization of the paranormal, but I think it's also like so American, and there's this sort of it's just sort of like a folk hero-ness to Bigfoot that I don't know. I'm just seeing a greater appreciation for Bigfoot, and I feel like it's just becoming bigger and bigger right now, and then it's kind of carrying along, like Mothman and shit. That's getting so big, the festival and everything, and it's like I just see sort of these local folk creatures, even UFO events. That's continuing to happen. I mentioned to Lauren, I go to the Whitehall Bigfoot calling contest every year. That inspired at least probably close to a dozen other Bigfoot calling contests, like all around the country at these events. It's like Bigfoot's hot. It's getting hot, Bigfoot. So I've noticed it just in my.
Bigfoot's the hot ticket.
Yeah. That's really the only sort of trend I've seen. Like I said, I feel like the disclosure push is just kind of, it's batting against the wall here, and we'll see, but you get the disclosure movie coming, so who knows? And there are people that come out all the time now who like claim they were with the government and new shit, just like back in the day. And it's like, I don't even hear as much about, like, the David Grush thing was a big thing. I think there's been a couple other people since that's like, I don't even know who these people are.
Yeah.
They're not making a big wave. So I don't know. It feels like it's stalling out a little bit. And there's some frustration from the people who were the rank and file, I think, who were like, what the fuck, man? Like, what the hell? But it's like, man, join the club. We were frustrated fucking like in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. We used to sit here on the show. Like, I mean,
there were a couple of bit fests, I remember.
Yeah. And listen to like the old shows and just like, you all have no idea how lucky you have it now. Like the UFO thing, like one year, the biggest story was like that Britain released a tranche of UFO files. That was like the only fucking big story of the year. It was like UFOs were so dead. So, I don't think they'll ever be like that again. But, I think the rising tide's lifting some of these other ships now as people are like, well, I don't know, this UFO thing's fucking kind of peter now, but it did get me turned on to Bigfoot, or now, I'm like started looking at like conspiracy or whatever. I don't know what else people get, Amelia Earhart or something. I don't know, DB Cooper. I really like that now because it's interesting to me. Hopefully they don't go down some dark paths after they've been indoctrinated into UFO world where they're like QAnon and shit. But it happens, so you never know.
It happens.
But that's the only. I feel like we said this last year, and I don't want to be too pessimistic, but it feels like this year, much like last year, just so much uncertainty going into the new year. I have a nagging feeling that like the economy is going to completely fucking collapse, but I feel like people say that it's like the apocalypse. People say that probably every year. And
it might. Silver's up to $72 an ounce. 3 years ago, it was 23. That's insane.
I know.
Somebody's worried about something.
Right. So, it feels like something bad is on the horizon, but we all got to live our day-to-day lives. But what do you see for 26?
I wrote 4 lines when I wrote 2026. UFOs will continue to be hot. This will be the case until the military decides it's no longer important for their needs. Cryptids may make a comeback or peak this year. Including Bigfoot, like you said, the ghosts things will decline because of market saturation. All these shows, the paranormal and research into the phenomenon like ESP and like, precognition and all that will show an increase in interest, maybe getting stronger if once UFOs get off the front pages. Because of that rising tide lifts all the ships that you talked about.
Yeah. Well, that would be great. I would like to see that. Yeah. I think the ghost thing, I have to talk to some of the folks in the ghost world, but I get the impression it's kind of like they've been doing this for a long time. The locations are set. And it's like, how many times can you, like, A, how many times can you go to places? And B, that's a very content creator sort of driven space.
Yeah.
And it's like everybody's done these places.
There's not a story we're going to have to make one up.
Right. It's like,
and also, how many shots can you see of people in night vision going, oh, God, did you hear that?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So I think that is kind of like the market saturation of the location type based stuff. Is definitely, it's I get the sense that's kind of happening. But so we'll see. I mean, I hope it's a good year, man. I really do.
Well, here's wishing a good year for everybody and for the country and the world and all that, and hopefully things can hold together until saner heads come back. Until the grown-ups walk back in the room.
Let's hope so. Yeah. We'll see. It's gonna be a tempestuous. Yeah.
That's a good word.
Tempestuous year, especially with the election coming up. And God only knows. I mean, look, we sat here in 2019 and we had no fucking idea. I'm almost certain there was no mention of any like thing happening in China with a disease, because that first came up like in early January. So it was like we had no idea corona.
Yeah, early January, and then by February, I think end of February was declared a pandemic. I was in Mexico when that happened. I was visiting Miguel.
Yeah.
They canceled all the wrestling matches for the whole season. Like after we saw the last one for the season, probably for the next couple of years.
I believe so. Yeah. Till they started letting crowds in like a year or so later. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a crazy time. So we have no idea. We can't predict what's going to happen, but weird shit will happen. Crazy shit will happen. That's what I live for. And, we'll see. I go over the list at the end of the year for Coast to Coast, and there's stories I'm just like, I could never have predicted that ever could have happened. Like people act in strange ways, and it's great. God bless them. So how about you? What's going on with you? What do you got cooking for 26?
Finishing off all this like life stuff that gets in the way of me actually wanting to finish a project. I'm trying to finish a book that I've been working on for years now. Radio Mysterioso will come back, and it will be not too much different, but I've got, like I've said before, I've got a bunch, probably now 8 or 10 unaired shows now, which I'm going to put up. And I don't know if I'm going to go to a thing where there's video. I think maybe I'll just do video once in a while. I don't like sitting on people. I know nobody wants to listen to your podcast if there's no video, but a lot of people do work around the house or drive or whatever when they're listening to podcasts. So
I'm. It's funny you brought that up actually, because I was thinking about that the other day. I am really averse to video, and it's like it's, to me, it's like cheating in a way. First of all, like these people that have shows, like they call, first of all, as a, I feel entitled to say this as an early podcaster, like these shows where the people are, where it looks like a fucking TV. They're TV shows. They're not podcasts.
Yeah.
Like where they have a set and they're sit like Joe fucking Rogan. I get that it's a Joe Rogan podcast. But as a fucking original podcaster, I take umbrage at the description of that as a fucking podcast, because that's a talk show. That's a fucking talk show. It's a completely different thing. To me, a podcast is like long form audio.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. To me, a podcast is long form fucking audio.
Yeah, it should be called a vidcast, which they, I guess, worked a little while.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, no, I know totally what you mean because I see this shit where it's like, oh, Netflix is running all these podcasts, and like I see them, and they're like, these are fucking talk shows. These are fucking like, and you know, and it's like guys like you and me don't have the money to A, fucking build a set, and B, I mean, fuck, dude, it'd be great if I could fly in every fucking guest and put them up in a fucking hotel and go come down to my studio and we'll tape my podcast. It's like
Jesse Michaels came out to L.A. and rented a loft space to do the interview with me in.
Yeah.
Because at first I was going to fly to Austin, but he says, I'm going to be out there for Contact in the Desert. You're going to be around? It's like, yeah. So he just had me in a... And then I saw people online saying, oh, well, he turned all the books around on the shelf. I wonder what's going on there. It's like, it was a set.
People really look into details too much. But, and I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. Part of that comes from my own envy and jealousy. Yes, I would love to have a fucking fancy set and fly guests in or fly to them or whatever. But it's like, we're running on a shoestring here. And to me, it's like, I just think podcasting is like an extension of talk radio, not talk shows, not like a visual element.
I'd like to have the money to do that, but I think I'd still do just audio. You know, or just like turn it into, okay, I'm going to put on a suit. There's going to be a set. There's going to be a band and the whole bit. But you know, then it would just be a talk show. But I think if I did have enough money to do that, I'd still want to just do the podcast. I mean, just audio. I've been listening. I like Mary Beard, the Roman historian that's British, and she has so many TV shows about Roman history, and they've like got a podcast. It's just the audio from it. And it's just her saying, okay, we're going over to this museum and we're talking to this person and we're looking at these Roman coins that show Emperor Hadrian in this year. And what does that tell us about? And I don't need to see the video. It works fine as audio. I don't even need the picture.
Right.
So that's kind of why I think, you know what, maybe I just won't go to video unless it's like a big deal or somebody really wants to show me stuff or hold things up or whatever.
Yeah. I totally hear you because I felt the pull of video and it's like, should I because I mean, I obviously record all these videos and it's like, should I just roll them out as videos? But then it's like, I feel like, and what some folks may not know or realize is like, some folks don't want to fucking be on the video. Like, they actually appreciate it. They appreciate it. They're like, oh, good, thank you. You know, I've
had a few of those.
Yeah,
more than a few. That's like, I don't want to make myself up or worry about what's in the background or anything. Right. And if somebody is prepared to do that and they do it all the time, I kind of don't want to have them on as a guest. It's like, wow, you're so saturated that you actually have a setup.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
I've got a little ring light. I was going to put it up here because you're recording some video and I thought, screw it, forget it. I'm not going to put it up.
No, I look like hell anyway. I'm on the back end of a 5-day weekend, so I'm. I don't want to. People they'll ruin their New Year to see old haggard Binnall here. He doesn't look good. No, I'm fine. I'm just living the life of Riley as usual. Well, all right. So people can look forward to that. RadioMysterioso.com. And you got that hopping group over there on Facebook. So a lot of good discussion over there. Well, thanks for coming on the show here for the 17th year, man. It's been an awesome ride. I think that,
we should do it till we can't talk anymore. I think it'd be great.
Yeah,
if I can still speak and carry on a conversation, I'll keep doing them. I love it. So thank you.
Even if even the years when I wandered in the wilderness and only did I still was like, I'm still going to do the Friedman show and the year in review, and I did.
Yeah,
it's like these shows need to keep going.
Yeah,
because we have a huge back catalog, 17 fucking years. Someone can come along and listen to that and get caught up in everything that's happened since over the last 17 years. It's crazy. It really is.
Yeah.
You know, it's awesome.
I've got shows going back to 1998 and 99 from the pirate station I was on that are posted somewhere. And when I start doing the podcast again, I'll start posting those.
All right.
Like,
well,
shows people haven't heard in years. I've got an interview with Ann Druffel that nobody's heard since I did the interview live. So just stuff like that.
just don't post that show from Halifax, the wild party show that we did.
Oh, I still have that recording, and I
Burn
will
that
never
tape.
post that. Yeah. I think I still have it somewhere. I just haven't looked at it in years.
Oh, man. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on, man. God bless you. Have a great 2026. I love you. I love chatting with you. You know all that. And here's to a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. All that same stuff back to you, Tim. Thanks so much.